everyone, you're watching Weekly Forex Outlook by Liteforex. As you can see, the US dollar index is still trading in an uptrend, although it is below the highs which were set earlier in November. Market players now think that the US Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, will tighten monetary policy at a slower pace than it was thought before. The expectations may be explained by the fact that the recent economic data from the United States were disappointing. Let's have a look at the economic calendar at liteforex.com and see which events await us in the upcoming days and which events will have an impact on the exchange rates this week. So today, Monday, November 26th, and the key events today include the speeches of the ECB President Mario Draghi and the Bank of England's Governor Mark Carney. Let's see what is tomorrow. On Tuesday, there will be some key economic data from the United States, CB Consumer Confidence, and there may be also some commands from the oil exporters, which can have an impact on oil price. Next is Wednesday. Here it is, and on Wednesday we'll get American GDP figures, and this will be another driver for the US currency, American new home sales, and what is more important, the key event will be the speech of FOMC member Powell, the head of American Central Bank, who will surely make some hints about the future pace of interest rate hikes in America, and this will be a very important event for the USD. So we switch to Thursday, and on Thursday there will be a nice chance to trade the Australian currency, as the country will release private new capital expenditure data. The figures are published once in a quarter, and the release has a high impact on the exchange rate of the Australian currency. The forecast is positive here, so a reading in line with forecast or better than expected will cause a rise in the Australian currency versus the USD, while if the data is worse than expected, we'll see a sell-off in the Australian dollar, which managed to recover during the recent weeks. Other important events on Thursday include some German unemployment change here, and during the US trading session there will be pending home sales and FOMC meeting minutes, so we'll find out what was discussed at the last meeting of the US Central Bank, and this may also give some ideas for trading the USD. Surely all Forex traders will monitor this event. Finally, Friday, November 30th, and there will be China's manufacturing PMI, and we'll get CPI or inflation from Europe, and the release of Canada's GDP, as well as some statistics from the United States. Also on Friday there will be the meeting of the leaders of the world's key economies, G20, and the US President Donald Trump will meet China's leader, and they are expected to discuss trade. So this day will be very important for the global risk sentiment, and if some positive comments are made after the meeting, then it will be a reason to buy currencies like Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and Canadian dollar. If the meeting brings no results, then the US dollar and the Japanese yen will appreciate. Now let's get back to MetaTrader and have a look at the charts. We have a look at euro dollar, which managed to recover from support at 1.1330 and rise to the area of 1.1375. We can see now that the pair is trading in a small descending channel, and we will soon find out whether the euro manages to break resistance of the channel around 1.14, 1.1410, and this will allow the euro to try to get to the previous high at 1.1470 and 1.15, or the downtrend will resume and will get the reversal at resistance at 1.14, and the pair will go once again to support at 1.13 and 1.12. All in all, data released in the euro area last week were worse than expected. We got some weak PMIs. However, on Sunday, Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini said that there is a possibility that the country's deficit goal for 2019 may be changed, and this can lead to a compromise between Italy and the European Union. Now they have a kind of dispute over Italy's budget. Everyone is watching this Italy problem, so a positive outcome will send the euro up, a negative outcome will send the euro down, and well, despite the positive comments, it is a bit hard to envision the positive outcome of this thing. So we remain cautious, and we think that resistance at 1.14 will be too hard for the euro dollar to break above, and the pair will still have a negative bias and target lower levels marked on the chart. GBP USD currency pair keeps trading in a very volatile fashion. We can see that during the last months, the pair traded between 1.31 on the upside and the area below 1.28 in around 1.27 on the downside. The pound was driven mainly by the news related to Brexit, and the latest events here were the news about the breakthrough in the negotiations between the European Union and Britain. It turned out that the EU leaders sealed a Brexit pact on Sunday and called it the best possible deal that Britain could have. Now all it is left is for the British Parliament to vote for this deal ahead of the summit, which will take place on December 13th, December 14th. Until we have the decisive yes from the British Parliament to the Brexit deal, the pound will likely remain under pressure. So we will trade around this levels like 1.28. Let's put 1.27 here on the chart as well. 1.2660, which is the low of August, will draw the pound's attention, and the resistance levels on the upside will provoke further selling, as still it is really hard to tell whether the British Parliament actually approves the deal. The picture looks very, very uncertain. As a result, for now, the pound is in kind of narrower range here. We can see that resistance lies around 1.2870. Decline below 1.28 will open the way to support at 1.2750 mark. So selling the pound on the upside is seeming like the best strategy here. The US dollar is still in an uptrend versus the Japanese yen, and it is now trading above 113 level. All in all, the prospect of higher interest rates in the United States is what is keeping this trend bullish, And as a result, the potential is for the US dollar to try to test higher levels and the resistance line around 1.14 mark. Of course, we remember that there are a lot of events scheduled for release in America this week, so it depends on the Federal Reserve and comments of Powell on Wednesday whether the currency pair will manage to get over 114 and aim for 115 mark. If the Powell sounds moderate and not hinting on rapid rate hikes in the future, then likely the pair will reverse down from 114 and once again try to test the support level of this uptrend. Australian dollar keeps trading in a volatile fashion after it tested resistance at 0.73. This is where the pair will aim at the levels above this point, as we know that there will be data from America and data from Australia. All in all, if the situation is good for the Australian dollar, it really has a chance to test higher levels and to try for 0.74 mark. If the Federal Reserve is hawkish enough, then we'll test support at 0.72 mark. The New Zealand dollar opened with a gap down versus the USD today as there were some negative retail sales figures released early on Monday. However, the pair is trying to close the gap. There will be more news from the New Zealand this week, and the focus will be on the 200-day moving average at 0.6870 on the upside as the key resistance. Gold is still in the channel which has a bullish bias. We can see that volatility declined during the last days. So to be precise, we have resistance located around 1230 level and the support located around 1220 level, and it will depend on how we exit this range, the further movement to 1238, the previous resistance, or another attempt to test support levels marked on the chart. The US dollar Canadian dollar traded in a bullish trend here. The pace has slowed down in the recent days. There was a correction to the downside. Canadian dollar was weakened by declining oil prices. However, the US dollar is awaiting important news now. So we'll wait for some decisive reversal here at the support line or a break below 1.3170, which will be needed to confirm that this uptrend is now over. And let's have a look at the oil chart here. Despite some recovery which started at the beginning of this week, still the picture looks very, very grim. The oil is now oversold and it can recover to the previous support and now resistance. For Brent oil, it is located around 61.80, but all in all, it looks like we have broken down and further downside to next Fibonacci level around 53.70, 53.50 is what is going to happen next with oil. This is all for today. Thank you for your attention. You can monitor the news at Liteforex.com, use the economic calendar, and try to make this trades with the analytical information we discussed today. Thank you for your attention and all the best in your trading.